Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour, our top story. Let's begin with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Malaysia. India and Malaysia signed several agreements in the fields of combating and preventing corruption, standards of training, certification and watchkeeping for seafarers, and disaster management. Both the countries signed an agreement on audio-visual production, a memorandum of collaboration in the field of labour, the exchange of notes in the fields of semiconductors, healthcare, national security and vocational education and training, the exchange of letters on United Nations peacekeeping cooperation, and the submission of the framework agreement on International Big Cats Alliance was also signed. So in total, there have been 11 documents and memorandum of understanding that have been shared. So Malaysian Prime Minister lauded Prime Minister Modi's peace efforts at the global front. He said that exchanges with Prime Minister Modi are not a diplomatic exchange only, rather exchanges between friends.
In my discussions with Prime Minister Modi, it is not just normal pious platitudes and diplomatic exchanges. It is an exchange between true friends, full of trust and understanding. And therefore, I must also take this opportunity to express my regards and thanks to him for his firm commitment to support all peace efforts throughout the world, be it in Ukraine, Russia, or in the case of the Middle East, and particularly in Gaza. His commitment to support the peace process is unequivocal. And I must therefore express my appreciation. And as a sign of our good relations, I immediately have agreed to support the decision of the government of India to open a consulate of India in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah.
Prime Minister Modi and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim held delegation-level talks in Putrajaya. So those were the comments coming from the delegation-level talks. So the leaders held wide range of discussions on issues of mutual interest, covering bilateral partnerships as well as regional stability. Prime Minister Modi thanked his counterpart for the warm welcome. Prime Minister Modi stressed that both nations need to utilize their full potential.
आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हमारी लड़ाई में मित्र देशों का साथ बहुत मायने रखता है। एक तरह से एक्सेलेंसी, हमारा दृढ़ विश्वास है कि भारत और मलेशिया की समृद्धि एक दूसरे से जुड़ी हुई है। वैश्विक अस्थिरता के इस वातावरण में भारत और मलेशिया दो मैरीटाइम नेबर उसको अपने संबंधों की पूरी क्षमता का उपयोग करना जरूरी है। मेरी आज की यात्रा का मूल संदेश एकदम स्पष्ट है कि भारत मलेशिया के साथ मिलकर हमारे संबंधों को नए स्तर पर ले जाना चाहता है और सहयोग के हर क्षेत्र में विस्तार और प्रगाढ़ता लाना चाहता है।
Malaysian Prime Minister said that India and Malaysia share deep connected ties from centuries and both nations will work on strengthening these ties further.
We have established excellent relations and I'm proud to say thank you again because in the last 2 years it has surpassed the normal traditional relationship thanks to you and the team. And we have discussed privately some of the issues of concern which I think need to be elaborated by our team. But the principle is important. That we consider India as a great friendly nation of ours, close to Malaysia, culturally, and of course now geopolitics, and we will expect more collaboration in all fields.
So the second day of Prime Minister Modi's Malaysia visit began with an official ceremonial welcome earlier. He was accorded with a guard of honor at a ceremony in Putrajaya. This is Prime Minister Modi's third visit to Malaysia and his first since bilateral ties were upgraded to a comprehensive strategic partnership in August 2024. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi receiving a guard of honor in Putrajaya, Malaysia earlier. And 11 agreements, documents have been signed in the delegation level talks that have just concluded in just some time ago. Let's connect with Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj joining us from School of International Studies, JNU. Welcome, sir, to the program. You're continuing to be with us in this broadcast. Thank you very much. So among the agreements, 11 in total signed just now, India is also set to open a new consulate in Sabah, Malaysia. Tell us the ways in which this will further strengthen ties between the two countries.
Thank you very much and good morning. Before coming with the new consulate and talking about the people-to-people connect and tourism, what I gathered from the two prime ministers' address, that they are emphasizing on three very critical issues. Particularly, while you talk, the Malaysian prime minister talks that India should play a very strong and constructive role in the global peace process. And he categorically mentioned that the conflicts going on in between Russia and Ukraine, and then of course in the Middle East, the Gaza and Israel and Palestine. So basically that Prime Minister of Malaysia has recognized the India's increasing role globally in the peace building and in peace process. So I think it's a very good symbol, very good indications that the world is looking at India, that India is basically being a country of Buddha, a country of Mahatma Gandhi, can contribute in the peace and stability globally. The second very important aspects Prime Minister Narendra Modi has raised in his speech, that let's have and emphasize about the global institutional improvement and reforms, basically indicating, because you know that today the multilateralism is under threat, where the superpower, particularly the United States, is withdrawing from the key institutions, international institutions on climate change, on developments and all that. So I think the two countries, they have come together, and Prime Minister Modi has categorically emphasized, let's have reforms in the UN Security Council, as well as the other institutions, and improve them for the betterment of the peace and stability of the world. The second very important point Prime Minister Narendra Modi has talked about, that there should not be double standard or terrorism, because the terrorism is a issue of global commons, and the countries, particularly India, has been suffering for a long from this menace of terrorism. So India has been mobilizing, asking the world that there should not be double standard of terrorism. The terrorism is terrorism, and that should be dealt by common definitions and common understanding. And the countries who are supporting terrorism and cross-border terrorism, they should be demoralized. They should not be supported either on the ideological lines or by other means. So I think these three very important aspects has come out, other than the people to people connect, particularly while both the countries has talked under the 11 MOUs about the tourism is one of the sector where the two countries understand and bridge the culture and society all together. And in this direction, the new consulate has been started in Malaysia that would definitely give a visa, e-visa basically, talking the e-visa and visa-free regime between the two countries. Malaysia has already have a visa on arrival, and India is also have started giving visa without any charges. So that kind of gestures is basically bridging the two countries' people. And in this direction to promote the tourism, one very important aspect that we have also introduced about the UPI, announced the UPI transactions. Basically, that ringgit and the rupees will be the source of transaction between the two countries. And I think this would enhance tourism as well as education sector and the commercial ties between the countries. And because the commercial, we are having around 20 billion bilateral trade, and the trade, India is in trade deficit. So we can, when we will have more businesses, particularly one sector has been well appreciated in Malaysia is the garment sector, the saris, Banarsi saris, and you know that has been very popular in Malaysia. This would help to balance the trade between the two countries if we will promote the garment sector in that. But third very important aspects, because India under the India's Act East policy, one aspect is very significant is the capacity build-up. And in this capacity build-up, I think the role of the semiconductor or digital connectivity are very important instruments to enhance the capacity build-up, and that would bring cooperation in the IT sector, in Silicon Valley, in education sector, in medical sector. And I think Prime Minister Modi has also emphasized about that. Let's address the issue of the global health and global food security. And Prime Minister of Malaysia has endorsed these issues of collaborations in these areas, so that you can have a better capacity between the two countries. And this capacity build-up mission will definitely will add to the research in the field of semiconductor and healthcare system. So that is the third very important aspect. Fourth aspect is the about the maritime security and the strategic partnership. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar has talked about that we have elevated our relationship in 2024 towards the comprehensive strategic partnership. And this comprehensive strategic partnership is talking not just about the traditional security issues, but also the non-traditional security issues. In this non-traditional security issues where the two countries are maritime neighbors. So we are looking free and open Indo-Pacific region. We are also looking free navigational rights to all the states either in South China Sea or Indian Ocean. So for that, we need to have a better cooperation in defense exercise, in naval exercise, in maritime security exercise, intelligence sharing. And these were the issues that has been addressed by the two prime ministers in their speech, and of course that has become source of the 11 documents. And the final point that I gathered is the two countries, they also emphasized about the trade and investment regimes, that how you can enhance the trade and investment between the two countries, and this so that you can strengthen the relations either in the context of investment in different sectors, or like improve the service sectors between two countries, because India has been constantly facing a competition with the Chinese. Chinese are strongly present in these Southeast Asian countries, and India is and that there is a Chinese shadow on India's eastward engagement. So India is looking to have a strong bonding and a close personal rapport with to improve the relations, and that has been reflected while Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting to Malaysia. So that this personal bonding and the personal rapport will definitely build a confidence between the two countries, and we will be able to invest more in energy sector, where we are looking to expand and diversify our energy supply, basically, because Malaysia, you will see that Malaysia is rich in hydrocarbon sector. So hydrocarbon and Malaysia and Indonesia, these are the two countries in Southeast Asia, are rich in hydrocarbon, and we can import that because India is looking forward to green and clean energy sector. So India is looking these cooperation in education sector, energy sector, in tourism, and all that. And then the final point that I would say, these areas of cooperations can be bridged and can be explored in the deep civilizational historical ties that two countries has. India being a source of many of the cultures, like the Hinduism, like the Buddhism, and of course the Indo-Islamic culture that is very prominent, very prevalent in Malaysia. That you will see a lot of the minars and the mosque, and they are very closely very similar to the India's minars and mosque, and that the Islam is very inclusive, very syncretic in Malaysia. That has been inherited from India. So we are looking these cultural bondings will pave a way to come together to work with each other. And of course, we are also looking that any radical elements like like Zakir Naik is in Malaysia. We will also looking a cooperation from Malaysia to extradite him to India, because he has been involved for radicalization of the South Asian societies. So I think the message is very strong, very
Yes.
touching to both the countries' basic fabric.
Yes, one rooted in trust, friendship and shared aspirations. Professor Sanjay, request you to stay with us as we emphasize another important point in the presser there, joint presser. Prime Minister Modi said that Malaysia is the first nation that he's paying visit to in 2026. He added that India and Malaysia civilizations share cultural heritage, democratic values that still bind both nations together. Listen in.
सिक्योरिटी के क्षेत्र में हम काउंटर टेररिज्म, इंटेलिजेंस शेयरिंग और मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी में सहयोग मजबूत करेंगे। हम रक्षा सहयोग को भी और व्यापक बनाएंगे। एआई और डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजीज के साथ साथ हम सेमीकंडक्टर, हेल्थ और फूड सिक्योरिटी में साझेदारी को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। आज आयोजित सीईओ फोरम ने ट्रेड और इन्वेस्टमेंट के नए अवसर खोले हैं। हम स्ट्रेटेजिक ट्रस्ट से इकोनॉमिक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन का रास्ता बनाएंगे।
All right, let's go back to Professor Sanjay. Professor Sanjay, Prime Minister Modi also announced a new guiding framework called Impact to guide future cooperation between the two countries. Could you shed some more light on what is expected in this Impact framework?
Basically, we are looking how the two countries' people, two countries' society can impact on each other. Because when you talk about that, the India's idea of East is basically spiritually embedded, being a sun worshipping civilization. We have the like Surya Namaskar in yoga, like Vastu in East. The East has lot of contribution in India's culture and society. So we are looking and connecting, basically not just acting, but we are also connecting with the East, and that would definitely create a civilizational and cultural bondings between the two countries that inherited from the second century, you can say, second century, while we had the cultural and commerce linkage. You can also see the Chola dynasties it has sway up to the Malaysia, Indonesia, and all these areas. So we are looking and building the bridge, or bridging the two countries, not only in the cultural sectors, but also this cultural heritage could convert to have to contribute peace and stability globally by cooperation in security areas, because the two countries, you can say both the countries are also looking Chinese expansionist and revisionist policy, where the Chinese, they are coming and having disputes in South China Sea through 9-dash line, and they are building the artificial islands and all that makes uncomfortable to Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam, and they are looking India as a balancing factor, that let's cooperate, let's bridge relations with India, so that India can basically become an alternative what the Chinese has been dominating. India, in the same manner, is also on the northern border facing Chinese revisionist and expansionist approach. So we are looking a very collaborative approach to have a strategic partnership. That's why Prime Minister of Malaysia has talks that we have elevated our partnership towards the comprehensive strategic partnership, where we started our diplomatic relations in 1957. But today we have developed a comprehensive strategic partnership, and there we are bringing all the issues all together, because now India has been working under the Indo-Pacific strategy, and in this Indo-Pacific strategy which has the Central Asia, which has the centrality of the ASEAN countries, and the ASEAN countries are very important. But I would like to put one more point here. In the Indo-Pacific strategy and under Quad, there are Japan, Australia, and Americans. Maybe Americans, they are looking this more in the context of the traditional security issues or containing or countering Chinese. But India is looking beyond that and looking, basically exploring it to have the non-traditional, to address the non-traditional security threats. And in his speech, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has categorically mentioned about the health, food, and semiconductor, like the health security and the food security and the other digital security are very important components.
Even maritime security, for that matter, sir. There's an agreement signed between the two sides on preventing corruption, standards of training, certification, and watchkeeping for seafarers and disaster management. So yes, overall, it's a very holistic domain. And yes, Malaysia is partnering with us on our journey towards development. Very heartening, conclusion that Prime Minister Modi gave in his address was we are walking together in the path for a prosperous Malaysia and a Viksit Bharat. Your concluding thoughts here, sir?
No, but very important point you have raised about that the global governance or the good governance. And in this good governance, basically that the point has been raised about the countering, along with that countering terrorism, we are also looking forward to countering corruption. And that let's have the corruption-free society. And for that, I think what most important aspect is, and India is talking about democracy in neighborhood, but now India is talking about the democracy globally. So so Malaysia and India can work together to cooperate in good governance, global governance, as well as the promotion of democracy. So if you will have a democratic government, you will have a good governance, then the issues of corruption, issues of terrorism, issues of the expansionist, or you can say supporting the terrorist activities, or having the encroachment, or not respecting the sovereignty of other countries through building artificial island, and all these issues will be addressed. So I'm sure that this holistic approach of the two countries and will definitely bring peace and stability in Indo-Pacific region, and the strategy of Indo-Pacific region will be implemented in its true sense. It's not against any country, but it is basically for the peace and stability and development of this Southeast Asia region, or you can say Indo-Pacific region.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Sanjay Bhardwaj ji, for staying with us all throughout on this very important day of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Malaysia. Really appreciate your joining us and you're giving us your valuable time.
Thank you very much.
All right, let me quickly get in our correspondent Meghna Dev joining us from Putrajaya in Malaysia. Meghna, which of the agreement signs have particularly stood out for you in Prime Minister Modi's visit to Malaysia as it impacts both countries?
Yes, and we saw about 11 documents and MOUs being exchanged, and there were also exchange of letters. What we definitely see is that there are MOUs in the field of combating and preventing corruption, standards of training certification, disaster management, watchkeeping for seafarers. Besides that, also what was very highly expected, that there will be something on semiconductors, and that's what there was an exchange of notes in the field of semiconductors. Besides that, obviously on healthcare, national security, and what stood out for me also was the fact that Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim, spoke highly about Indian institutions. He spoke about Indian centers of excellence, and he also said that Malaysia will try and contribute to more Malaysian students studying in India. Besides that, obviously, there are many other areas of cooperation, but having said that, the fintech area, the digital area, carries much more promise for both the countries. When we actually see that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Act East policy since 2014 was a strategic outline that actually placed India, more strongly in terms of cooperation with the wider Indo-Pacific region. We also do see that there have been initiatives that have helped India rebuild the economic base. For example, Made in India has helped build economic base, but also on services or consumption, but also expanded industrial policy, productive capacity. Now, very importantly, what ASEAN and for that matter Malaysia is also looking at is the feat and concept of digital India, where India remains one of the most scalable digital economies. This is what India has to provide to the world. For Malaysia and ASEAN, India's digital ecosystem actually offers new models for low-cost digital inclusion, opportunities for fintech, cybersecurity, scalable infrastructure for digital trade, and much more. And not only this, but also in the sphere of startups. With one of the fastest growing startup nation, India definitely has a lot to offer in that sector as well. So there are many important sectors in new and emerging areas. That's what Prime Minister Narendra Modi called yesterday, that new and emerging areas, while we're looking at traditional areas of cooperation that have already existed, but this comprehensive strategic partnership can promise in terms of where we can cooperate in new and emerging areas.
All right. Thank you very much, Meghna Dev. Future engagements are also lined up. We'll not take much time of yours as you head for the next engagement of Prime Minister. Let's also tell our viewers, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also said a very important statement in that joint presser there. India, Malaysia share strong cultural ties and both are enhancing to work to enhance this cooperation further. He stressed on the importance of Indo-Pacific and reiterated India's commitment to peace and stability in the region. Listen in.
भारत और मलेशिया को तमिल भाषा के प्रति साझा प्रेम भी जोड़ता है। मलेशिया में तमिल की मजबूत और जीवंत उपस्थिति शिक्षा, मीडिया और सांस्कृतिक जीवन में दिखाई देती है। मुझे भरोसा है कि आज के ऑडियो विजुअल एग्रीमेंट से फिल्म और संगीत, विशेष रूप से तमिल फिल्में, हमारे दिलों को और पास लाएगी। हम अपने युवाओं के बीच यूनिवर्सिटी एक्सचेंज, स्टार्टअप कनेक्ट और स्किल डेवलपमेंट के अवसर भी बढ़ा रहे हैं। हमारे बढ़ते संबंधों को सपोर्ट करने के लिए हम मलेशिया में नया कॉन्सुलेट भी खोलने जा रहे हैं। फ्रेंड्स, इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र के विश्व की ग्रोथ इंजन के रूप में ये उभर रहा है। हम आसियान के साथ पूरे इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र में विकास, शांति और स्थिरता के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है।
You're watching DD India Newshour. We are heading into a short break here in the bulletin. Lot more news on the other side. Stay with us.
One of India's newest states, one of India's oldest lands. Jharkhand is a hidden.
Take a front seat to witness the grandeur. That Gar Firdaus Barruez.
You're watching DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. Union Minister for Electronics and Information Technology of India, Ashwini Vaishnav, has said that the India Semiconductor Mission 2.0 will prioritize indigenous chip design, their productization, attracting ecosystem partners and development of talents. The minister was speaking at a Qualcomm event in Bengaluru on Saturday to announce a 2-nanometer chip of the company, which has been developed in India. Holding a chip wafer in his hands, the minister described its capabilities and the precision manufacturing involved in it. The government allocated 1,000 crore rupees for the India Semiconductor Mission 2.0 for the fiscal year 2026-27, with an emphasis on industry-led research and training centers to drive technology development and create a future-ready skilled workforce. The minister said India's roadmap to advance from the current 28-nanometer manufacturing capabilities to 7-nanometer technology will be a key focus under Semicon 2.0 mission.
We will be focusing on design as the topmost priority, equipment and materials as the next priority, talent to a next level where much deeper capability, that capability to design a complete system as a student, that will be our next target. Getting more fabs and ATMP units will also be part of the work, and making sure that our path to 7 nanometers from the current 28 nanometers, that progress to 7 nanometers will be part of the next version of Semicon 2.0. We should be able to finally complete it within next few months.
Minister Vaishnav also inaugurated Texas Instruments' new Research and Development Center in Bengaluru. The new center features a collaborative workspace dedicated to developing world-class chip designs. The event also commemorated the company's 40-year presence in India. The minister said that Texas Instruments is a true pioneer in India's semiconductor journey. On to West Asia now. The US President and Israel's Prime Minister will meet on Wednesday in Washington to discuss negotiations with Iran. This is what Prime Minister of Israel Benjamin Netanyahu's office has said. In a statement, his office said Netanyahu believes any negotiations must include limitations on ballistic missiles and a halting of the support for the Iranian axis. Wednesday's meeting will mark the sixth meeting between the two leaders since Trump took office a year ago. Iran and the US held negotiations in Oman on Friday, which looked productive, and Trump later said that the talks would resume early next week. The US and Israel have repeatedly warned that they would strike again if Tehran pressed ahead with its enrichment and ballistic missile programs. And in the latest update in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, the United States wants Ukraine and Russia to end their nearly 4-year-old conflict by June, and he has offered to host talks between the two sides in Florida next week. In a nightly video address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Washington had proposed talks in Miami in a week and that Kiev had agreed to attending that. He also accused Russia for overnight strikes on Ukrainian energy facilities, saying Moscow must be deprived of the ability to use the cold winter weather as leverage against Kiev. This week's talks in Abu Dhabi concluded without a major breakthrough, but Russia and Ukraine agreed to exchange 157 prisoners of war each, resuming such swaps after a 5-month gap.
The Russian struck, among other things, at facilities on which the operation of nuclear power plant depends. And this is a danger for Ukraine, for our entire region and for Europe. Today, the units of our Ukrainian nuclear power plant reduced generation. One unit automatically shut down. There were more than 400 Russian drones and a significant part of them were Shahids. There were also almost 40 missiles of various types. Ukrainian soldiers managed to shoot down a significant part, but not all of them.
400 российских дронов изначально.
Polls opened across Japan on Sunday in an election expected to hand Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi in a resounding win. Opinion polls indicate Takaichi's Liberal Democratic Party, which has governed Japan almost uninterrupted for decades, is on track to comfortably surpass the 233-seat threshold needed for a majority in the 465-member chamber. Pollsters say the LDP and its coalition partner could even capture as many as 310 seats, enough for a commanding two-thirds super majority, though they caution that undecided voters and wintry weather could still influence turnout and overall the final results. So rare snow blanketed Tokyo on Sunday. The record snowfall blanketing parts of the country could keep some voters at home, with some voters having to battle blizzards to pass their verdict on Takaichi's administration. It is only the third post-war election held in February, with elections typically called during milder months. Minor traffic disruptions were reported in Tokyo. Nationwide, 37 train lines and 58 ferry routes were halted. 54 flights cancelled as of Sunday morning. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sporting action. First, news from cricket. India have begun their ICC T20 World Cup campaign with a win in their opening match played in Mumbai. On Saturday, India defeated the United States of America by 29 runs. The USA won the toss and chose to bowl first. India did not get off to a good start and at one stage had lost 6 wickets for 77 runs. For India, captain Suryakumar Yadav played a brilliant innings of 84 runs of 49 balls, taking the team's total to 161 runs for 9 wickets. In reply, the USA team could manage only 132 runs for 8 wickets in 20 overs. For the USA, Sanjay Krishnamurthy and Shubham Ranjane were the top scorers, with both scoring 37 runs each. For India, Mohammad Siraj took the most wickets, claiming 3. The Indian team will now play its next match against Namibia in New Delhi on February the 12th. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But Coming up next is a special interaction related to the upcoming India AI Impact Summit that will be held in New Delhi from 16th to 20th of February. Has a conversation with Indian entrepreneur Parth Sarthi. Parth's team is developing a one-of-its-kind Indian AI speech model. Take a look.
Have you ever felt frustrated by customer support that just rattles off information in a flat tone with zero empathy? Now, what if AI could speak with sensitivity? Let's meet Parth Sarthi, co-founder of Chariot, India's frontier artificial intelligence lab, building exactly that. Welcome, Parth, to DD India. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thank you so much for having me here.
Pleasure. Beyond the teaser I gave, tell us about Chariot and what it is building.
Absolutely. The Chariot is an AI frontier lab. We're based out of Delhi NCR, and we're building speech models. So if you look at models in the West, ChatGPT and so on, they work mostly via text. But India is a voice-first country, so our models are speech models. We aim to compete with the West on such models. And really the core technology behind our model and the winning fact is that it can actually reason, it can actually think about what is being said rather than just saying what the user intended.
So it processes it in a way and then delivers. Before we expand on this, we know that you are a core team member, but who are the other members? What are their respective roles? And how was your team chosen for the AI mission?
Yeah, absolutely. So Chariot is co-founded by me, Parth, and Surat Bhushan. So Suvrat actually went to US for his master's, for his undergrad and master's at Stanford. And then he was at the Facebook AI research team for 2 years. And then he returned 5 years ago and he started a company called GAN Studio, which makes AI avatars. So they've worked with the likes of all the famous celebrities and actors. And now we're both sort of starting off on this journey with Chariot. Our other team members, our team is comprised of research engineers from IITs and hedge funds, and then we also have data annotators from all around India to actually help create this data.
Interesting. And you are building a model that works with the natural, sensitive, empathetic communication. And that communication needs to fit the bill in every context, be it storytelling or customer support or emergency helplines, to name a few scenarios. Can you explain to us, with the help of an example, how exactly will that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first product, which is a text-to-speech model, so it converts text into speech. And if you look at existing solutions out there, what they do is they just simply say what's been told to them to speak. Our model, on the other hand, will actually understand. So if you look at, let's say someone is building an AI teacher today, right? So what differentiates good teachers from, let's say, an average teacher is that a good teacher can really captivate the class, right? You don't even know where the time went. They can modulate their tone, their prosody, depending on the context is, right? They can go fast, they can go slow, and they can really engage with the students. So similarly, our models, the speech model, can do that. It can understand what's being said. It can understand how to actually say it and then reason over it and then say it. So if you look at, for example, advisories or some, let's say, an emergency advisory, you want the model to have that seriousness. You want, people who are listening to it to know that this is a serious conversation. They need to take action now. Whereas today's models are more robotic. They will just say, okay, please, let's say, go to a higher elevation and so on. If you look at tourism, if you look at tour guides and, let's say, AI tour guides, you want them to be very engaging. You want them to, tell a story in the manner of someone who's from there, have that flair to it. And that is the core thing that our model will be able to do.
So how did this idea strike you and your core team members? Was there an inspiration behind this? And is this an out-of-the-box idea which is quite original, or do you have parallels for something like this around the world?
So actually, the most interesting thing about speech reasoning models is it hasn't been done anywhere. So a lot of, there's obviously the West has done a lot of stuff in AI and done a lot of innovation there, but this is a paradigm where we're not playing catch up with any of the models in the West, but we're actually aiming to pioneer this technology out of India, show that great research can actually be done in India, and India can be one of the frontier players in this field. So for example, I was in the US, I also went to Stanford, and then I was at Google DeepMind, where I worked on multimodal reasoning for Gemini Deep Link, which is multimodal reasoning is, again, these models of today, which can reason, but not only in text, but also in images and so forth. So we actually want to show that such research we can also do out of India, and a new kind of research, opening new avenues that we can take the lead in.
So can it be called an AI disruption?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. What are the languages that this particular model will be able to speak in?
So we are starting off with the top 10 Indian languages and English. And our plan is actually to support all 22 official languages of India and English, and also the top 10 global languages apart from these.
Where will you roll it out first?
We will roll it out in India, but obviously the model is intended for the world as well.
So you're making in India for India and the world?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, our team is in India. The compute that earlier wasn't available to us now via the India mission and via the Honorable Prime Minister's vision, we actually have the compute, we have the data, and we have the team. So now the plan is to actually, show that India can be on the world stage and can compete with the players of the West.
So I also wanted to know, what is your end goal? What is the larger vision that you are looking at? Is this the first step in a series of things that you plan to do? Do you further plan to build on this model once the initial model is ready? How do you plan to go about this?
Yeah, this is just the first step. So, we're starting off with text-to-speech, which is one of the major use cases for voice. But we do intend on releasing further models that will be, that will compete with, for example, ChatGPT and so on. So these models, again, the difference would be that these would be voice first. But again, as you use ChatGPT for all these things, you can also use our models for all of these things. So we're just getting started, and this journey is a long one.
If you followed the budget speech, we saw that there is a 21-year tax holiday that's been announced for AI data centers, for cloud services that give services within India and around the world. How do you think that this is going to promote AI? Because you're very much in this realm. So what are your thoughts about what's been announced?
Yeah, I think it's a great move by the government, because I think so GPUs and compute is primarily the biggest bottleneck to making such models. So having more of such compute in India would be is really, really important, and it will be really great for all of the startups and all of the people wanting to build in AI in India. So having that, I think it's a great, fantastic move by the government.
You're also in the run-up to the AI Impact Summit, for which this interview is actually taking place. So tell us, will we see you there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are planning on having a booth there. So if you come to the summit, please come to our booth. Secondly, we're actually also hosting our own session on the 20th. The session is on how India can actually have a ecosystem that allows us to build such systems. So we're going to have speakers showing on all 5 layers how we can actually build the ecosystem required to continue this innovation.
Will you also be presenting your model in a primary manner?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this model I'm talking about, we aim to have a small research demo to show to the world about its capabilities. Yeah.
And how do you look at the way India is hosting such a big summit? It's one of its kind as far as Global South is concerned. You've attended the various AI conferences. How do you look at the way India is taking the lead in the developing world, in the Global South, that is, when it comes to AI discourse, policy making, thinking out of the box, and implementing?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing that this is happening in India. Obviously, India is already on the world stage in many aspects, but just showcasing all of the things that are going on in India, I think it's very important across all 5 layers of the technology, right? So I think I think it's happening at the right moment. We are in this new age of AI, and showcasing how we can, build solutions and showcasing our technology that, that actually will be used by, the population scale of India, and how we can do that. I think is very important. It's actually something that we can take the lead in and actually show to the world this is how India does things and so on.
Where do you think this is taking us or leading us to? Because there are already major giants who are well established, the United States and China. For instance, do you see India emerging as the biggest player in future?
I think so. I think, we are, as I said, India needs to not just catch up, but actually show that we can pioneer research out of India, that we can not only like have our own chat GPT and so on equivalents, but actually we have such smart people in India, and we have a lot of people also returning to India to build these things. We can actually show that we can take the lead, and we can even teach others how to build better AI.
Thank you so much, Parth, for speaking to us on DD India. It was such a pleasure to speak to a bright young mind like you on AI and the kind of potential that India has to play it big in this realm. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.